Hello, people from the internet. How's it going? I'm Chidarengan, but you can call me Shida. Symphony of the Night is one of my favorite games of all time, and ever since I bought it for the PS4, I have played it countless times, as I always want to go back to it from time to time. But you can only play it so much before it gets harder to go back to it, so I decided to start doing challenge runs. For today's video, I want to play the game kinda in a pacifist manner, in which I can only kill mandatory enemies. So here are the rules. I cannot kill any enemy unless it's mandatory, therefore the counter displayed on the pause menu should stay as low as possible. Hitting enemies is legal as long as they survive. If I accidentally kill something, I must reset. Destroying objects is allowed. I will be using glitches, but don't worry, I will teach you how to do them, it's pretty easy. I named myself Nokia for some reason. It was actually a pun on no kill. I'm dumb. We start the game in the battle against Dracula, as usual. I farmed until I had 99 hearts, which is way more than necessary, but I did it anyway, and went to face the first boss. The "what is a man" dialogue is not in the PS4 version, so I skipped the cutscene. With Richter's item crash, the battle is actually a joke, especially if you throw a holy water on the ground. It glitches the game and makes the rain hit more times than usual. But regardless of the glitch, Dracula goes down easy, as I take no damage. I will add this battle to our meta counter, since it doesn't show on the menu. We are now playing as Alucard, and the counter is at 0. To avoid this enemy, simply jump as he is about to attack and go over it. It's a very good dog guarding its house, so you should leave it alone. Did you know that this is one of the few enemies that can be missed from the bestiary? Anyway, I recommend unequipping your weapons, so if you accidentally hit an enemy, it will survive, unlike my hopes and dreams. Trying to avoid enemies will result in you taking damage, but thankfully this game is also extra nice with the amount of damage you can take, as you will be able to see several times. Remember to be extra careful not to kill anything before you save, otherwise you will have to redo the Richter section. Here we find one of the first enemies that you can't really just jump over. Thankfully, damage boosting isn't very hard, you can do so by spamming the backdash. I save the game, and then I avoid this enemy like this. Now, be prepared for one of the few parts of this run that may give you some trouble. Get this armor and equip it. See the situation you need to go through. It's pretty difficult to squish between these enemies without taking damage. However, although usually not a good thing, it's impossible to kill the blood skeleton, and when doing so, it doesn't show in our kill count, so Jenga him before trying to proceed. Although not necessary, it's also possible to lure the Skelly Boy to the left, making this part a lot easier. I managed to pass through, and thankfully there's a save room nearby. I tried to get this new weapon earlier, as I still need weapons to fight bosses. Took me an embarrassingly amount of tries to get it, but I can hide it, thanks to the magic of editing. Go and get the leather shield, as it is an important item for the backdash cancel glitch. It makes you go faster. To execute it, all you have to do is alternate between pressing triangle and circle rapidly. Any shield will do it. For the sake of the video length, I won't be talking about every enemy encounter. Usually, it's not hard to avoid enemies, and I will call attention to the most interesting situations. I went to face the boss, and I destroyed them without much trouble. I wonder now as I edit if by killing both at the same time you can somehow get one kill instead of two. If you know that, let me know in the comments. But even if we tricked the game, in our consciousness, we would still know the amount of death we left behind us. Which is 2, by the way. If you are wondering about my spells, it's just something that Alucard can do, similarly to spell attacks in fighting games. And I suck at doing it, I just hoped I would press buttons and end up casting something. The color of the spell looks weird because I got the footage from my stream recording, and yeah, I stream sometimes on that other popular site that I'm not even sure that I can say the name here on YouTube. The name is on the screen right now. Consider dropping a follow there, because it gets lonely sometimes, and I would appreciate your company. So the next room is also one that you can't just jump over enemies, but again you can just damage boost. You can also try to teleport, but you may also accidentally cast the wrong spell and end up killing enemies. By crouching after teleporting, you prevent yourself from shooting fire, as I show here. Well, there's also this room with the blood zombies, and it's a mess. Now we go to the marble gallery and get hit by the Ouija table. Go get the spirit orb.
Die.
Try again until you eventually pass through this Cthulhu wannabe to open this shortcut for no reason at all. Back to the original route, I recommend spending your hearts so you don't use them by accident. Or alternatively, get the stopwatch. Since it doesn't hurt enemies, it will be very useful through the run. I recommend passing through this enemy like this, and this one like this. Remember that if you think you're gonna die, you can risk the teleport. Get every money and rings that you see on the way, we may need it later. Now we make our way to the outer wall, rest a little, and go back down. Pass through the purple guy. It's unlikely you kill him by accident. Wait a few seconds here and get your prize, better armor and damage. Leave the same way you came and go face the boss. You can kill the boss any way you want, but at the time I wanted to beat the whole game in one string, so I teased a little. And for some reason his death does not show on the counter, and I have no idea why. We will talk more about it later. For now, I will add it to the meta counter. Save the game and go up the tower. The enemies here are a little bit tricky. For Ape Skeleton, you have to go pretty close to the edge of the stairs and jump quickly to the other side. Or teleport behind him, which is risky if you fail to do so. However, like most things in life, it's easier if you can stop time. For this part with the snipers, I don't know, get lucky, sorry, but be careful of the bullets because they do a lot of damage. Well, teleport to the entrance and consider saving here, go back, get the elevator back working, and get the wolf relic. This will be very important for our next glitch. If you jump, turn into wolf, turn back into Alucard, while transforming back, hold down and keep pressing the jump button. You will kick down as if you had the leap stone, allowing you to kick things and get higher. Trust me, it's very easy to do. With this in hand, we'll go back to the central clock. Usually we need the leap stone to access here, but we are going there very early. With glitches like this, you will see that we will skip a great portion of the game, and if this doesn't sit well with you for some reason, just know that this challenge is probably doable by not using glitches. You will just get a higher number in the end, and I'm sure there are other glitches that allow me to get a lower number regardless. Well, because we are just killing bosses, our level is as low as it can be, and by skipping areas we end up avoiding some good gear. And now in Oroc's quarters, being a more difficult area, we understand why these skellies deal so much damage. Unfortunately, I don't know any tips for this part, you just have to do it. We now go to the Colosseum, just for the save room. It's noticeable that knowing the locations of the rooms may be important for this run. We now are going back to the previous area. Be careful of the Hammer Bros. Get this teleport room, save if you need, and go back to the Colosseum. Take the upper path until you reach another save room all the way to the left. Get the Night Shield if you want and go face the boss, but not before opening this shortcut. One thing that you can do in this battle is that if you skip the dialogue, you can start doing damage to the bosses as they show up, which gives you plenty of advantage, and so does teleporting to where they are when you use the Hellfire spell. Oh, and by the way, did you know that in an interview with the assistant director Koji Igarashi, it was mentioned that in order to symbolize their loneliness, both Dracula and Alucard were given black balls. True story. I accidentally used time stop, but don't worry, it does not change anything about this fight. Get the Form of Mist, and a little below it, the Blood Cloak, which I believe is among the best items in the game. It converts damage into hearts. Oh yeah, the kill count is at 4 by the way. Now consider getting the Shield Rod. This is a very famous item that has amazing power. It's guarded by many enemies, so be careful. If you got the Blood Cloak and the Stopwatch, this part is a lot easier. You should save before though. By this point you should just know that it's better to save, right? By the way, why in the PS4 version the items look so dark? This is not a recording thing. On another note, remember to check your kill count to see if enemies were killed sometimes. It may happen that you unalive someone without realizing, especially in convoluted rooms like this. I forgot to tell you that you should get the library card just before the boss room, but it's not like you just jumped over it, right? Anyway, if you remember to farm properly, now you should use the library card and go see the Master Librarian, buy the Jewel of Open and a few curses. The more the better, but you also don't have to buy a shit ton of them. It's up to you if you want the Iron Shield, and it's also smart to get another library card. For any playthrough, it's always useful to hold one with you. Now, still in the long library? Actually, this is the first time we are here. Anyway, do the jump glitch again to get up here without the leapstone, like this. Well, almost like this. This enemy dies in about 3 kicks in our level, so be careful. Make sure you have the time stop for the next boss. The Lesser Demon has an interesting ability. The longer you battle him, the more enemies you will have to avoid. One of them being the Mudman. I'm sure someone watching this may have not finished their bestiary because they didn't wait for him to be summoned, as it doesn't show up anywhere else in the castle. Weirdly, when he dies, his summons also die with him, and they don't show up in the counter. I come back to test, and if you kill them yourself, it does indeed count. But it is still a little weird that they cannot be frozen in time. What is this, the most powerful skeleton ever? I think he's technically more powerful than the doppelganger. By the way, notice that when I used the Uncurse, I became briefly invincible. This will be important later. In any case, I tried again without letting him summon anything just to be safe, getting us to 5 kills, and our reward is the ability to turn into a bat. Usually, this is the best thing ever because you can immediately do the bat dash, allowing us to go faster. But it's very likely you will hit an enemy, so be careful when doing so. Consider getting the fairy, as it is one of the few familiars that don't attack enemies. I won't equip it right away because I don't want her to spend my healing items. They may be useful later. Such a gamer ever. Now, with the mist and bat form, very few enemies will be hard to escape, so the room will get a lot easier by now. Our next destination is the chapel, and on the way there, we find Maria. If you're going to this room through the wrong side, coming from the chapel, having passed through the Colosseum, it may happen that you glitch the game, forcing you to reset. So be careful with your skip shenanigans. As you may imagine, nothing here is a challenge, so just don't accidentally kill anything. Go to the save room in the Colosseum and pay attention to the next glitch, as it is the hardest one we will be doing today. To get the silver ring earlier, equip Uncurses on both hands. It also works with potions, but Uncurses are cheaper. However, potions also heal, so it's your call really. Turn into bat and approach the iron wall. Turn back to Alucard and use the item immediately. You can try to use both for more invincibility frames. Notice that the window isn't that small, and I didn't do it properly, and I still managed to pass through by turning myself into mist. Once on the other side, turn into bat again. And when close to the door, do the bat smash and spend the use of an item. Get the silver ring, and if you are scared of doing the same again in reverse, use the library card. I have it up here by turning into mist instead of bat, but it really isn't that hard. Go face the boss and just finish her. I haven't got a chance to see if the babies count or not to the enemy count. Sorry about it, I know people on the internet love hearing about animal abuse. This will get us to 6 kills. Now keep going right to the castle keep. Once there, get to the teleportation room, and explore the area if you want. I recommend getting the Platinum Mail, as it offers great defense, the Power of the Mist for obvious overpowered reasons, and the Leapstone, because I miss it. Now go back to the Marble Gallery, get the Gravity Boots, and go to the underground caverns to fight the Succubus. She shouldn't pose much of a threat at this point, and with that, we have 7 kills. And with the gold ring, there is very little in our way to complete the first section of the game. Go back to the central clock to open the passage there with the gold and silver ring. You know to do this because it shows in their item descriptions, making this one of the oldest references to the Dark Souls series. It's true, don't look it up. Once down there, prepare to fight Maria. Be careful when doing so, we are only level 21, and unlike most enemies, it's not easy to hit her multiple times consecutively. Honestly, because I didn't grow up fighting with her, I kinda feel like this is one of the hardest fights. But try to remember to use your mist form. I feel like I was lucky here, but I'm not complaining. Get your super convenient magical glasses and reach back to the castle keep. Notice that Maria doesn't count as a kill. Should we count it in the meta counter? I don't know. I mean, she's alive. We can figure this out later. Using one of your new abilities, go up the broken set of stairs to face the boss. Once there, get your ass kicked just like I did. It's a very important step. Now try again. Bring up the Holy Cross. Richter is immune to it, but the evil green ball is not, which basically makes this battle free. Oh yeah, I forgot, you have to equip the convenient glasses that Maria gave you, otherwise you cannot see the green ball. There will be no shafty jokes in this video. This fight also doesn't count as a kill. Should we add it to the meta counter? I don't know. Proceed to the next part of the game. Get rid of the cross so you don't accidentally use your clear screen attack with it. If you're smarter than me, consider removing this cloak. I went back to the library to get the iron shield. It isn't that necessary really, but from now on we basically wrecked the game. Back on the inverted castle, we now have to fight 5 mandatory bosses. I first faced the Darkwing Bat, because it was closer. I wonder if it is friends with Darkwing Duck. Well, this is our kill number 8. I pretty much won't have much to say for the next few battles, so expect some of me speaking to fill space. Get the Ring of Fledge and the hell out of this murder scene. And head to fight the Medusa. I once got a higher count after killing her with the Iron Shield spell, and though I'm not sure if it was her fault, I will not finish her like this just to be sure. I wonder if each of the snakes on the head of the Medusa need to eat, or if they all need to poop. Do they poop on her head? Or does it go into her brain and that's why she's evil? Anyway, this is our kill number 9. Get the relic and leave. The way you choose to go now is kinda up to you. I decided that through the clock tower would be less annoying than through the chapel, but honestly pick your poison, as both areas can be pretty annoying. I got the Dragon Helm because if I recall correctly, it's the best headpiece in the game. Then I go to the outer wall, go up, save the game, and face the boss where the doppelganger was before. The creature can be pretty sneaky, but thankfully it doesn't tank much damage, so it shouldn't be much trouble, making that our 10th kill. Don't forget to get the relics after the bosses, as they are the reason these battles are mandatory. Now I should either go face Akmodan II or Death, but I decided to take a detour to the caverns and saved. Remember when we faced the doppelganger and it didn't count for the kill counter? My theory was that the devs wanted to communicate to us that this doppelganger is the same from earlier but stronger, and he actually survived the encounter. That's why he went into the portal. So I wanted to kill this one to check it out, and I died. Then I tried again, and it didn't count again. Well, I reload the save because I don't want to add this to our meta counter, since this is not a mandatory battle. But this is so weird, why he doesn't count? Maybe it's because he's just a reflection and not alive to begin with? Maybe it's a human character and alongside with Maria and Richter, it doesn't count? Maybe other enemies like the fake trio also don't count? Maybe he actually is the protagonist, trapped in another dimension. And because we can't kill the protagonist, he will never show up in the count. Count, that's the whole point. If he shows up in the count, he's even more like his father. That's why this cannot happen. Maybe he is the Symphony of the Night. Yeah, this is what the devs wanted me to think, for sure. While pondering, I went to get the Alucard shield, because of course I would, and I went to face Death. I heard that, according to Koji Igarashi, in an interview, no joke this time, the incredible power of the Alucard shield is actually a glitch. So add that one to the count. Not that count, I meant the amount of glitches we used. Well, and speaking of count, it's now at 12, because each form of death counts as 1. Very fitting. Don't forget to get the relic, and let's move on. Now the only boss missing is Mummy. Mummy! Go face it. It's on reverse Aurochs quarters. And I know the places have different names on the inverted castle, but I don't care. So I don't even know what to say. Well, this is the number 13 queue. Get the item and leave. So I didn't even explain how the shield rod works in this game. I wonder if someone watching will be really confused. Just in case, I equip a shield and the shield rod in different hands and press both square and circle, and a spell happens. Doing it with Alucard shield is crazy overpowered. Now we only have one thing to do before finishing the game. Open the path in the clock room again, and while we wait, if you enjoyed this video so far, I would like to ask you to like, share and subscribe. This is my first video in this format, so feel free to offer any tips down below. I have a few other runs in mind for this game, and I'm excited to do them. Now let's go beat the game. Firstly, we face Shaft. I promised not to get this shield again for any other run, so I decided not to use it against Dracula. And now we're going to face him. He's actually pretty difficult. Oh, and Shaft did count as a kill, leaving us at 14. Which ruins my humans not counting theory. And now we are in the lowest level we can face this boss. At least as far as I'm aware, level 32. Which honestly is not that low. I think the normal is to get here around level 50. I decided to summon my fairy here because no point in being stingy with my stuff now, and I'm glad I did because I almost died. Well, technically I died, but the fairy can resurrect you if you have an apple. However, I only had one, so I still had to play carefully. Well, we defeated Dracula. I don't think there's any way to prove if Count Dracula counts. Reloading the save, even being a cleared save, brings me back to before the fight started, which I think it's kinda fitting. He's immortal and always comes back, just like my love for this series. Sorry for being cheesy. So, to wrap it up, let's make a quick rundown of every battle we had. First in the meta counter, the first battle with Dracula, the fight with the doppelganger in Outer Wall, Maria in the clock room, Richter in the throne room, and finally Dracula again, finishing the count at 5. Then, in the in-game counter we have 2 for Gaibon and Slogra, 2 against the Minotaur and the Werewolf, 1 for the Lesser Demon, the Hippogriff, the Succubus, Darkwing Bat, Medusa, the Creature, 1 for each phase of death, Ekmodan II, and finally Shaft, finishing the count at 14. So, what's the least amount of kills necessary to beat the game? Well, as far as I can tell, we have at least 14 kills for sure. I'm a little iffy on death counting as 2, but I'm not going to argue with the in-game counter. Then, it will come down to your opinion in the end. If you think that the act of getting an enemy to 0 HP, finishing the combat should be considered a kill, then the answer is 19. If you think that both battles with Dracula should not count because he's immortal, then it's 17. Same if you think that both Richter and Maria do not count because they're still left alive. And if you think these 4 battles should not count, then it's 15. I don't know what to make of Doppelganger really, but if you don't count him, it's only 14. And then you add 2 or 4, depending on how is your view on the humans that survived and the fights with Dracula. I want to know what you think of this in the comments. Here goes what I think of this. Since we are going for kills, it's undeniable that Richter and Maria survived, so they do not count. I don't think that the fact that they are not showing the counter is an oversight by the developers. Regardless of Dracula being technically immortal, in both battles we kill him, and he will need to be brought back to life. so I will count him twice. The doppelganger is the only one that I'm not sure what to make of it. He does turn into a bloody puddle similarly to us when we die, so even if we want to believe that he went into the portal and is the same as the other doppelganger, since both do not show in the kill counter, I believe that is some glitch or oversight by the devs, so he should also count. So, to beat Castlevania Symphony of the Night, at least 17 kills are necessary. And this is the answer I have for you today. I'm sure we can bring this counter a little lower with other glitches, maybe with randomizers, I don't know. Again, let me know in the comments if you do. I'm partially aware that it's somehow possible to kill bosses without making them show in the counter with the use of glitches, but it doesn't matter very much. The enemy exploding into a pillar of flames is more than enough proof that it was killed, counter or not. Before I go, if by any chance you wanted to do this challenge yourself, but found it to be way too easy, remember that you can activate the luck code to lower Alucard stats. In this run, luck doesn't help much, just don't ask me to do it for now, I have other runs that I'm more interested in doing. I hope you enjoyed your time with this video, and I want to see you here when I post the next one. Have a spooky night, and goodbye. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. This is my dog.